Let me talk to you about using visual attractants to get bobcats over to your set location. You know, a lot of critters in the wild, especially your wild canines, they rely most heavily on their nose and their ears when they're hunting. You know, a coyote or a fox or something will hunt with his nose straight out in front of it. It's always smelling as it goes around to try to cut a scent trail on some prey species it may be interested in. Of course, it does use its ears to try to hear maybe some animal that's in distress or something of that nature, or a rodent, you know, messing around under the snow or under the grass or something like that. But bobcats, and the same could be said with raccoons and possums. They got beady little eyes. They don't have the best vision in the world. They use mainly their nose and touch when they hunt. The sense that a bobcat use the most is their vision. They have a good nose and they have good ears, and they certainly will use them. But mostly, I believe, a bobcat will use its eyes when it hunts. It has really large eyes in relation to the size of their face, big orbital lobes, gather a lot of ambient light, see very well in the dark, and can basically, when they hunt, they can rely on their vision to try to pick up movement, to pick up on where a prey species may be located. So with a bobcat, I believe they use their eyes more than anything else, and so to maximize or to take advantage of that, I use a couple visual attractants that I really like. The first thing is bleach bones. You can use deer bones or cow bones or what have you. This is a cow bone. I like to use cow bones. I know some cattle farmers. Cattle farmers always have cow demises, calves that die at birth or something of that nature that you're able to go in and collect after they've deteriorated to a certain point and use those bones. I mean, the farmers don't care. They don't have any practical use for them. They usually have a specific location on their farm that they take and dump their dead cows and stuff whenever they pass away. So that's basically what I do. And I'm never at a shortage for cow bones, so I really like using them. The thing about a bone, though, when you use a bone on the ground, I've noticed that on my trail cam videos and such, that bobcats they'll just come in and urinate on the bone. They might smell it and then walk off, but most of the time they'll come in, smell it, and then urinate or urinate on it. Sometimes they just come in and urinate on it and move off. They don't spend a lot of time on it. They just smell it real quick, urinate on it, and move off. But it gets them to a specific location. So if you're playing your primary wind right on your set, or you got some flash on your set, then when a bobcat comes over to the bone, then they're going to pick up on your set, either through smelling it or through seeing it close to where your bone's located. So it gets that cat over to your location using a really good visual aid. By far my favorite thing to use is turkey feathers, specifically turkey wing feathers. About 15 years ago or so, I figured out spring turkey hunting. It took a long time for me to figure it out, but I started getting really good at it, and I was able to harvest. In this particular state, we're allowed 3 a year, and I had many years where I was always killing 2 and 3 birds. So I was able to get up a really large supply of turkey wing feathers. So I like to use these mainly because they have brown and white on them. So on days like today with snow on the ground, that brown will really stand out against that white. Whereas on days, which most of our days don't have snow on them, you'll have that white that stands out against the brown and the greens and everything else. So that's what I like about it, is because it's going to work well without snow and with snow. So the way I rig these things up is I just poke a hole in the end of them, and I was running some real thin craft wire you can get from a craft store or the craft section of Walmart or what have you. And I was just running craft wire through it and then putting a barrel swivel just above it, just so it'll sit there and it'll spin with the barrel swivel. And that's just something I came up with myself. I'd never heard of anybody else ever using a swivel to do that. But anyway, I would use a real heavy gauged barrel swivel on that craft wire. The craft wire's, it moves, but yet it's got a little bit of stiffness to it to where it won't allow your feather to, it's less likely in wind to kick up in adjacent tree limbs and such and get tangled up. That's something I liked about it. But I ended up going to, and I still use those, I still have quite a few that are set up, but I like this setup a little bit better. Turkey feather, poke a hole in the end, but I use a barrel swivel, fishing swivel, that has a clip on the end of it. So I can just run the clip portion, the metal portion, through the hole in the end of the feather, clip it down, boom, there it is. If my feather gets all messed up or something, I can unclip it, switch it out, put a new feather on there, and still use the same setup. Use a real heavy monofilament fishing line. I think this is like 40-pound test. I don't know, it's pretty thick. It might be 60. I just use a real heavy pound testage because you don't want it to break or anything like that, and you want it to last for a while. Because it's more light and flimsy than the craft wire, put a lead sinker on it just to keep it weighted down, again to keep it from in high wind kicking up and getting wrapped around the limb that you had it tied to, or else adjacent limbs next to that limb. And then on the top end, another barrel swivel with a clip, so I can just bring it around a tree limb on the edge of like a clearing like this, or on a logging road, or wherever I may be trapping, and then you can just bring it over and just clip it, and then the weight of it's going to keep it cinched down around the limb, and with pressure from the wind it just tightens it even more, so it doesn't go anywhere, and it's real quick and easy to take it off the limb and move on, not worrying about twisting craft wire, which is really not a lot to it either, but I just find this to be a little bit more efficient, and there's more movement with it. It's just more movement. It does that spin at the end of it that you want, but it also can kick and move a lot more freely in the breeze, small breezes. Just to show you what that looks like, let's see if I can get it to show up. I'll put the snow in the background. But it's just a clip with the barrel swivel and the real thick monofilament line, and then you got your lead sinker, and it comes on up to another one of the clip setups through the actual bone. But this is, in my opinion, the best visual aid that you can set up for bobcats. I mean, really, when they're coming through, they're hunting with their eyes. You don't always know how they're going to enter a clearing or what have you. You can put this up. Now, we'll warn you, if you're in an area, public ground or something like that, with trap theft being an issue, you probably don't want to put this up. Those are the situations where I don't. You can usually figure out where someone may be seeing your set from the road or from some trail or something nearby, and I'll use a bleach bone in that case, and then make sure I've got the topography of the ground keeps the bone even out of sight of humans, just to keep from them being curious and coming over and trying to figure out why there's a giant bone laying in the woods. But that's something to think about, is trap theft. So you don't want to use this with, in a situation like that. Also, you want to check your state regulations in reference to that. It might not be lawful, in your area, so you want to make sure that that's a lawful tactic that you can use when trapping bobcats. But do everything that you can in accordance with law to maximize on that visual curiosity that they have. I want to show y'all one of my favorite locations. This is a cat cubby that I build every season that I'm in this area. It's one of my favorite locations and I've been using the same stuff for at least 5 years now. Same wood and logs and rock and everything, and it's real easy to work with now. I work with it so much, the ground's loose and easy to work with, and it's easy to pound stakes in. I've always put them in the same location, and I've got up inside there, I've actually got a turkey leg and a piece of ham hide up inside there. I got some, of course, with every cubby I ever do, I'm always going to have a bobcat gland lure up in there, and beaver castor up in there. Even if I'm not using beaver meat, I like to touch up my beaver meat and spice it up with the beaver castor. But there's not a lot of odor that comes off of this ham hide and off of this turkey leg, so I put the beaver castor in there because that's a curiosity lure for cats, and it'll get them in there till they can actually smell that stuff that they're going to want to eat. What I want to do is show you how I actually bed my traps. It's probably every bit from where the center of the pan's going to be to where the bait's at, every bit of a foot, probably 14 inches back to that location. I'm trapping in February. We got weather coming in tonight, and then it's going to be real cold in behind that. We get these weather fronts, and then it gets down in the 20s after these weather fronts, and so you got to use a lot of antifreeze. What I like to do is put some antifreeze down, and then I put peat moss on top of the antifreeze. Kind of pick any big stuff out of your peat moss because you're not sifting it when you're doing that. Now I take the trap. If you're running a trap with a dog to it, your dog's always going to be back to the back of the cubby. This is a dogless trap. It doesn't have a loose jaw, but you always want your loose jaw away from your bait or your dirt hole or your post set or whatever you're making. But so what I do is I'm cat trapping here. This is public ground. I'm not trying to catch canines, even though I do catch gray fox here on occasion. But you don't have to bed your trap in super solid, especially when you got bad weather. So I just get it in there to where it's snug pretty good, and then I put some more trapper's antifreeze down. Make sure that trap comes up. And then I like to take, I just take the peat moss. Again, I'm not sifting it, I'm just grabbing it with my hand, so it's got some stuff, and it might have some chunks of stuff in there you don't want between your jaws. So what I do is I just kind of line it on the outside of the jaws, and then tamp it down to where I start to get it level on the outside of the jaws. Make sure there's nothing, no big chunks, anything on your jaws. You got to be careful with unsifted peat moss. And to this point, it's unsifted, but once I get everything kind of level right there, I'll go ahead and cover my chain up. I got everything already staked down with a super stake and cable, but I hadn't actually covered it up yet. But then when I do here at last, making sure there ain't no pieces of wood or anything on your jaws, I sift peat moss over the very top of it. It's real dry. Peat moss is dusty, but after I sift the peat moss on the top, I like to blow down on the pan to find the pan. It's real dry, so it just blows right off. So I blow down to where I can see the pan real good, making sure not to hit the pan. I just kind of move everything back out. And then I put that last little bit, making sure the jaws and the pan's covered. Then I actually go underneath bridges, and I find that you know, where rivers and creeks and such go underneath these bridges, I find like creek silt. It's like a sandy soil there underneath the bridges, and then I mix 2 parts of creek silt with 1 part of just plain salt. You can buy things of salt for 50-55 cents a thing, and don't cost much, but I mix it up and I put them in these little things here, and I just use it as a blend more than anything. I just like to kind of break up the outline of things, and it actually it won't freeze down. Creek silt's so thin, and with that salt in there, it just don't freeze down. And if it did freeze down, it's so thin the trap's gonna come right up through it anyway. I mean, it's gonna just break right up through it. But I like to use that as just part of what I do to blend the set in during bad weather situations. And I might put just a tad bit of dirt. I mean, just very little. You got to be very careful, or you're gonna have it froze down on you if you don't want it. Come in here and get it real solid right up to the trap. Nice avenue of approach for a bobcat. Then I take some, supposed to be dry grass clippings, but this done got a little bit damp on me, but it's going to be bad weather tonight anyway. It's going to end up getting wet before it's over with. It just don't spread very good, but I don't put a whole lot of that down either. Just a little bit, just to break up the outline a little bit. And I'm going to shake some of the existing stuff. Just kind of make it look, I mean, be careful you don't have anything stemmy or anything's going to get caught in between your jaws on there, you know. Just kind of break up the outline a little bit more, and don't really take a lot. Bobcats will walk right on bare peat moss. They don't care a whole lot, but I like to blend it in a little bit. And so this is the set completed. I do want to point one other thing out to you. This is something an old timer showed me back when I was just starting off trapping. I don't know what you call these things, but they're all over the place around where I trap. But it dries out in the winter time, and it's hollow in the middle, and it's got a lining inside this stem. It's almost like styrofoam, like natural styrofoam down in there. But it's a real good lure holder. This is what I'll put. This is what I use for the caster and for the bobcat gland and everything. But I really like to use these for holding my lure. I just dip it down in there. It gets up in the hole real good. It gets in that membrane real good. You can stick it in there, and it's just a really good lure holder. I just thought I'd share that with you. Let me get backed up here, and I'll show you the location and why it's such a good location for me. year after year. Usually I run a trail camera on the tree back here, behind where the camera's at. But I didn't do it this year, but I'm sure there's a cat working this. There always is. So let me show you the location. We're actually on a, it's like a road, but it's a shelf. It's really steep and rocky, coming down off the ridge, right down to the edge of the road. And it's almost a straight drop off the backside back there, down to the lake, where the lake meets a dam. And it's straight down for a long ways. So anything coming along this ridge is going to be coming down along this road and on out that direction. I usually put a trail camera on that poplar tree right there, but not this year. So I'm just in here blind this year, but I'm sure there's a cat working it. But this is one of my favorites, favorite locations for a cubby set, and this cubby's taken a lot of cats looking, you know, like that, or very similar to the way it looks now, because I use the same wood and kind of the same setup every time. Alright, I'm out here on my own property, in front of my favorite tree on the property. This is a mature apple tree. It was here when we moved in, and it's absolutely loaded with apples this year. I'm pretty excited about that. It should draw in a lot of game. Actually, last year I killed my first buck on the property. We've been here for 6-7 years, and finally got a good buck just about 80 yards that way on the property. I got a tree stand a couple 100 yards out, so between the apple tree and the tree stand I was able to get a good buck. Nice chocolate horn 8-pointer. I want to talk a little bit about something you've seen on the videos, which is me out with a catch pole, you know, to euthanize the bobcats in my traps. So this is the way in which professional trappers want to take and euthanize their bobcats for multiple reasons. First, I want to talk about the anatomy of a bobcat. A bobcat has carotid arteries that run outside of the muscle of their, you know, there's muscles around the esophagus, but outside of the muscles around the esophagus, they have carotid arteries. They have a very muscular neck on them, so those arteries being outside of the muscle and just inside of the hide make it really easy to cut off their blood supply. When you see trappers using a catch pole, it's not to suffocate the animal. It's to strangle the animal, to prevent the blood from getting to the brain. Bobcats, that happens really fast. When you cinch the catch pole down on one, they go out usually in around 20 seconds. They're passed out, and of course at that point, it's that they're not aware of what's going on. So whenever I come up on a cat and I actually get the noose over them, what's really nice about bobcats is they look past most of the time they look past the noose. They look at you. They don't focus in on the cable. Some animals will focus in on the cable. Raccoons they do that a lot. Canines will do it also, but bobcats generally don't do that. Very rarely do they do that. They'll look through it at you. They're really focused on you as a whole. So you can get the noose over them, and when you cinch it down and hold them for about 20 seconds, they pass out, and then you can lock. I use catch poles that have locking mechanisms. You can lock the catch pole, throw it over to the side, take the trap off its paw, remake your trap, or else pull your set, whatever it is you plan to do, while that animal's expiring. Usually from the time that it passes out to the time that it expires is usually around a minute, or just a little less than a minute. It does not take long. When you shut that blood supply off completely to the brain, they go brain dead pretty fast. So that, in my opinion, is the most humane way to euthanize bobcats on your trap line. And what I like about it is it doesn't involve any kind of brutal force. You're not hitting it with anything. You're not shooting it. And there's a lot of benefits to that. One is you shoot it, you put a hole in the pelt that can make the pelt not as valuable. Also, because of all that blood that they had that comes up into their head, you could just make it a bloody mess when to the point of skinning it. Also, if you make it a bloody mess and throw it up in the back of the truck with some other critters or whatever, the blood can stain the pelt, or else if it's really cold temperatures, the blood can run out and then freeze the animal to the bed of your pickup truck or wherever you're placing it. So it can just cause all kinds of problems. This is a neat, clean way to be able to euthanize your cats and then subsequently process them. effectively. So that's what the deal is with the catch pole. It's just a really quick and what I believe to be the most humane way of euthanizing the cats on your trap line.
It ain't gonna run at me, is it?
No. It's a healthy coon. It's got a good sharp mind on it.
How do you know if it's a girl or boy?
Well, I haven't been able to really officially check, but I will here in a second, maybe. But
Where you
even
go?
if it's a boy, it's just a tad too small for me to harvest. The one I caught here the other day was at least 5 pounds heavier and probably 4 inches longer.
What are you gonna do? Put that thing on its neck?
Yeah, I have to control its head until I can get the trap off its foot. Its foot's not damaged at all. These traps really do good with the offset laminate jaws.
Ooh, it made a noise. You ain't gonna choke it, are you?
Yeah, you gotta get it well enough because see how easily she slipped that thing off? She slipped that thing off like it was nothing.
She put her foot in there. Aw.
See, coons are smart. They're not dumb like a lot of critters. I mean, a bobcat is real easy to get the catch pole on because a bobcat will stare at you.
Aw. Oh, it's growling.
Easy. It is a boar, but he's still too small for me to harvest.
Hurry.
Huh?
Hurry.
He's fine. He's actually about to slip my damn noose out. Alright, I'm not trying to strangle you.
Damn.
Alright, gotta get the remake made.
We're at a location that I'm really excited about. I've already caught a gray fox up there. There's a little small road that connects that very small field down to a bigger field down here where I'm standing. So what I did, last year I put a trail camera in here and I got trail cam pictures of a couple different bobcats. One was really big. So what I did is I built a cat cubby here and I put 2 feathers hanging there in the breeze for the cat cubby, and that's because this bigger field here, there's actually a road that comes off a power line down there. You can see the power pole, and then the road that I drove in on is down behind those pines. It comes up in behind those pines. So anything kind of crossing from that road over to where the power line's at, I want it to see motion from the feathers that I have hanging up here by this set. I've also got a bleach bone out in front for extra eye appeal, and you can see that I've already put a trail camera up in the tree there to try to get a catch for us. It's really hard to do, and most of the time you're not at all successful, but it's just something I like to do to try to get some good video of how animals work the sets. Just to show you the cat cubby real quick, it's kind of like a cat cubby trash pile combination. I've got a beaver tail, small beaver tail nailed up to the bottom of the tree in there, and a small hole dug that's got a bone in it that has beaver castor on the bone. And then up here on the snag there, I've got bobcat gland lure, and then on the feather reedgrass, which I have feathered up a little bit, I've got bobcat urine on it and bobcat urine out here on the log that I have coming out. I've got a J.C. Connor Jake trap guarding the cubby, which is an excellent trap. So I'm really excited to see what happens here. Hopefully we can get a video of something working this set. Maybe get a video of a cat getting caught. There's that road that comes up the power line into the field. If a bobcat's hunting that and enters this field, I'll show you how well those feathers stand out. You know, up there's where the cat cubby's at, and you can see those feathers flipping around on the breeze. I got swivels on those feathers, so they'll just sit there and they'll just spin around when it's real windy and breezy. And you know, that motion catches a bobcat's eye when he comes in this field. They're very curious animals. They're going to go up there and investigate, what that is. So you really want that eye appeal, and those feathers make a big difference. I find that I actually catch more bobcats on breezy, windy nights than I do on calm nights. So tonight should be a good night. I'm here off the side of the main road. You can see the National Forest marker paint right there on the tree. This is a road that I drive back and forth on to work, and I've had a coyote and a bobcats crossed in front of me before at this location. I've also had a big buck cross the road in front of me there also. Buck I've been hunting in this area for a couple years now. Just about 20-25 yards off the side of the road is a power line. So I came over here to the power line and built a cat cubby over here. Had a Arctic cold front come in last night. It got down to 20 degrees. There's still a lot of wind in front of that weather front, so it's breezy. And I come in here today and see that we caught ourselves a big bobcat. That's a really big bobcat for around here. I'm really happy to see him here. This is my third check of the day. It's New Year's Eve. Good way to start to finish off the year. Still got a lot of traps to check today, but it's obviously a good night for predator movement. So I'm gonna get this cat taken care of and get this cubby rebuilt, and we'll get on up the road. This is the cat cubby remade. That was a female. It's a sow cat. That's full grown for a female for this area. I rebuilt this cubby. I put some more beaver meat and some beaver castor down in the dirt hole in the back of the cubby there. Feathered it up a little bit. Didn't put any more bobcat urine down. I squeezed a little bit out of her out here on this bleach bone. I'm going to try to pick up a male out of this area. With females, very rarely, unless you're right on the edge of two females' territories, very rarely will you pick up two females in the same place. Females defend their territories much more aggressively than male bobcats. Male bobcats will just kind of hunt and go wherever and will tolerate each other. The doubles that I have caught with bobcats are always males. I haven't had a female-female combination ever. So I'm going to try to pick up a male in this area.
I just got finished constructing this cat cubby. I drug an old burnt stump up here and put a couple big rocks in behind it to keep something from working it from the rear. I really like the way this one looks. It's real narrow across the top of this ridge, and there's one trail that comes through. So I've got beaver leg nailed into the base of the pine tree there, anchored down real good. I got some beaver caster on the bleach bone that's up inside the cubby. I've got a little bit of gland lure smeared around the lip of the cubby. Over here on the left side, I've got some catnip oil there on the left side, and I sprayed some cat urine back here on the brush. This brush here kind of makes it a walkthrough. If you look from this angle, it's kind of like a walkthrough set. So I've got the trap bedded right there in the front. That other bone is just kind of a stepping guide. And the trail goes all the way up the ridge through the clear cut that way. I'm getting ready to set a trail camera there on the left side where the bag's laying. And then the trail continues on the ridge on out the clear cut the other way. I talked to a friend of mine that's a trapper, and he said there's the place that he sees the most cat sign in this area is on the opposite ridge from here. There's actually a really good road over on that other side, but there's a couple of vehicles parked there, so it gets hunted pretty heavily. So I just decided to come over here and make a set as close as I can get to it and still be discreet. But I'm really excited about this location. I think we'll go do some good here. So I'm gonna get this camera set and we'll get out of here. Just finished taking some photographs of this cat. I'm gonna try to get up just a little closer. It's a pretty good sized cat, but he's got a lot of room on that chain. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but he's caught good. He's real high up on his paw. He ain't going anywhere. So I'm gonna see what I could do. I just kind of want to give you a better look of it. I realized when I finished that other video that he was laying right where I'm standing before, so I know he can get here. Now he wants to tear up my cubby. Just kind of want to give you a better view of it. I'm pretty sure that's the same cat that I seen. He is definitely the same size and coloration. Good full-grown bobcat. Yeah, I just got finished building this bobcat cubby. Behind the camera here, there's actually an opening wide enough for vehicles to drive or anything cut in the field, any farm equipment, between where this cubby is and the tree line. Behind the cubby, out in the corner of the field, there's actually a pond right there, a pretty good sized pond. So this is a good funnel point or pinch point for game to come in between this brush that surrounds the pond and the tree line here on the edge of the field behind the camera. So I've got bobcat cubby built right there. Got a beaver leg nailed up in the back of it. I got my feather hanging up. You can see it in the breeze a little bit there moving around. That should catch the eye of any predator working the far end of the field here and hopefully bring them over to investigate the area. I've got bobcat urine and bobcat gland lure and some beaver caster in the cubby as well. Trap bedded right there in the front. A couple little stepping rocks there. I think there's some fox in the area. I don't want to put too many stepping guides, but I got a couple rocks there for stepping guides, so we'll see if I can't catch a bobcat or a fox at this location.
Well, I'm here at a location alongside of a field. There's a pond right over here to the right of the camera, behind where the Bobcat's at. And there's an opening here, I'd say maybe 30 feet wide and maybe 35 feet wide. And so it's kind of a funnel point between the pond and the edge of the field, and there's a ridge right here that comes right down to the edge of the field. So it's a real good funnel point. So I put in a cat cubby here. I had a beaver leg nailed in the back, and the same thing is my favorite set, the beaver meat. It was John Graham's Tomcat Bobcat gland lure used here. I did actually have half of a rabbit back in there also. I had caught a rabbit, and the coyotes kind of tore it to shreds. And so I put part of it back in the back of the cubby for some eye appeal, along with a turkey feather. I've got a feather hanging up off a tree limb back here behind us for extra eye appeal as well, some more flash. Trap bedded in the front, a little bit of bobcat urine over to the side. And that's pretty, if you put, and I like to spice up my beaver legs with some beaver castor, but if you put, beaver meat there and beaver castor, some good quality bobcat gland lure, some bobcat urine, you've got everything that they want right there, everything that would spark their curiosity. It's got plenty of flash with the rabbit fur and the feathers and everything, and the way I had it stacked up, any cat that comes through here can look right up in there and see what's there. So got a pretty bobcat here. It's not the biggest bobcat in the world, but it's barely full grown, and it's got a real pretty a coat on it for the bobcat that I trap. We don't have the prettiest cats in the world, so but I'm happy to have it, and I'll get it taken care of, and got a lot more traps to check today. At a place here that's got a real small, used to be an opening, it's done growed up with olive all the way down through it. And there's a creek just on the other side there, not even 50 yards away, that comes all the way down and actually goes through a culvert down here. This whole ridge up here is full of rocks. It's rock outcroppings and a big piney point at the top. We just took some pictures of a bald eagle there on the other side of that, now next to a lake. But it comes down. I've actually caught a cat over there a couple years ago where that rocky point comes out into some woods. Down in here I actually had a beaver carcass station set. I knew the avian predators was on it, but I felt like there was probably a cat that had found it. So I come back after it was established and remade the set. Or I actually had a set for a little bit, and I pulled it and ended up coming back and remaking it after I got the beaver carcass started. And my wife Vicki and I come in here today, and I've got a cat down here. He's on about 10 foot of chain and a drag, so I'm going to approach cautiously. And I see here he's back foot caught, and I don't like that none. So let me get down in here and... No, actually I'm wrong. He's front foot caught. It's so thick I can't really see. I want to see how high I got him on the pad. Ah, he's caught good. He's not going anywhere. So I got a kitty there. You can see the beaver up in the olive there, what's left of it, and the kitty cat down here below it. Bobcats really like beaver meat. Come around here. He didn't go anywhere. He's tangled up pretty much where I had the drag set. He don't have near as much play as I thought he did. But you can see him down in there. We got a real... It's not spotted up real pretty, but he's colored nice. Good size. He don't know what to think of me. Come around here and see if I can get his full size on. Actually, he's just... that's an average size kitty. And I had some some bobcat gland lure up in the base of this right here, a stump. And that's what's left of the beaver carcass. So I am really glad to get him. Get him dispatched and get this set remade and on down the road. I just got finished building a real big, nice cat cubby. I'm on private ground. I know there's a cat in the area. The landowner told me he got trail cam pictures of one about 45, 50 yards that way. So I've got my feather hanging up. I got bobcat urine on the end of the log over there. I got bobcat gland in here. I've got a little bit of catnip oil in the back on the base of the tree, a beaver leg, and a turkey leg sprinkled in catnip, nailed in and wired into the base. It's covered where it can't be seen by avian predators, but yet it's got a lot of eye appeal for anything that's working this road. The road's right here where the camera's at. So I'm real excited about this set. I hope to see the landowner, or show the landowner the bobcat that's working this area. I'm back at my old faithful location, the place where I've caught more bobcats than any other place in my life. And I come in here, this is a location where animals like to climb up and leave their scat. You see that with foxes and bobcats a lot. And this scat right here, which is definitely bobcat scat, was here whenever I came in and made the set. I came in this morning and looked, and there's fresh scat there that wasn't there yesterday. And that is large bobcat scat. So I got excited and started walking in towards my, I've already checked the other set that I had in this area, out in the middle of the little clearing. I have two sets here. I traditionally run either a hollow log set or a cubby up in here. I was going to hang one of those chirper boxes, electronic trap bait boxes, up in here, but I never got around to doing it. It's going to appear that I didn't need to do it. I come in here and there is a giant bobcat back here. This thing is huge. It's caught really good, really high up in the paw. This thing will definitely be the biggest bobcat of my life. I was just telling people yesterday I caught a 39 pounder, and I was just telling people I've never caught a 40 pounder. I can guarantee this one will go 40 pounds. This is a huge bobcat. I don't have it in one of my strongest traps though. It's in a weaker trap. Bridger number 2, because I'm on public ground. I do have trapping competition in this location. So I'm going to easy big boy. I'm going to back out of here and go get my camera and chance taking some photographs of it and hope it don't pull out on me. That's just a huge cat right there. This place has always been so good to me. It's my favorite trapping location. I really enjoy trapping it. My God, that is a strong cat. I've never had a cat muscle out of something like that. I had it cinched all the way down. That is a beast. This is getting kind of sporty up in here, big boy. Sporty. Well, this is the set reconstructed. I was able to find my feathers and get them put back there for eye appeal. He never made it to the... I had a beaver leg here, just kind of establishing the location before I came in and set it up. When I set it up, I nailed a second beaver leg back in there, and it doesn't look like it's even been bit into. So he never made it to the beaver leg there before he got caught. On that little stump right there, I've got some Bobcat gland lures, some John Graham's gland lure, and some beaver castor, of course, spicing up the beaver legs, and some, you know, organic catnip sprinkled on them. And then out here I had some bobcat urine squirted, and what I did was I was able to get some urine out of that Big Tom. You can see where it's kind of wet there when I was able to sprinkle some. It's really strong. The set smells real catty, and you know, if I can smell it 3 or 4 feet away, then another bobcat can definitely smell it. So there's still good bait here. There's a lot of cat odor, and hopefully I can catch either another male or a female out of this location.